Welcome to the Rays of Hope episode this week. I'm Lucy Wawero and very glad to have you on board. Remember, you can stream this on Facebook and on YouTube, CAC TV Kenya. It's always a joy and a pleasure to have you on board. And on this show, we learn, we inspire courage, resilience, and hope. We get sensitized and we learn about opportunities that are available for us. And today, we shall be dealing with a topic we started earlier on in another episode. And this is, if it's not grown, it is mined. And so this is part 2 of it. And I'm very happy that Mr. Samson Mwangi found the time to be with us. Thank you very, very much, and karibu.
Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, perhaps you can say hello to the viewers.
Hello, viewers.
Yeah. Wonderful. So we take it up from where we stopped last time.
Yes.
And believe you me, this is generating a lot of interest because it's new information for
Yes.
us. And as we said in Hosea, my people perish
For lack
for lack of knowledge.
Yes.
We don't want to perish
Yes.
because God has given us a lot.
Yes.
And as we read, again, I would want to read the same verse.
Yes.
Isaiah 45 and verse 3. And this is what it says. Isaiah 45 and verse 3. I will give you hidden treasures, riches stored in secret places, so that you may know that I am the Lord, the God of Israel, who summons you by name. Hidden treasures. And for the sake of that person who is joining us perhaps for the first time, and even to remind ourselves what we said last time, how does it connect with our topic of the day?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, expounding on the same topic we discussed last time, over here, hidden treasures, we are referring to those precious things of old that these days we're using. By that, I'm referring to precious jewels, precious stones. I'm talking about gold and silver. This was the currency of wealth back then, and it still applies to this day. But now, in this day and age, God is enlightening His people and letting them go to the hidden treasures, the places He built at the time of creation. You know, so back then, people lived in the Middle East. Only during the colonial time did the colonialists come and map out areas in Africa. The scan for Africa was also for not only the sunshine, but for mineral wealth. And I believe us, as indigenous Africans, we have the opportunity to finally have a piece of that pie, for it is also our inheritance. So I think God is referring to, this is the right time for us to take root in our methodology, our perceptions, our thinking, that we're no longer subscribing to colonial masters, but instead we have been empowered. And what he said in Isaiah 45 verse 3 is for us to partake and experience.
Wow.
Yes.
And there lies our hope.
Exactly.
That if we're not growing it, then we can mine it also.
Yes.
Because we have all these two things
Yes.
in our land.
I believe that.
Yeah.
If it's not grown, it can be mined. And I'm also adamant that if you want to do something well, or do something best, do it yourself. Because I use this analogy. If someone knows how to do a job very well, you'll always have a job. But if he knows why that job has got to be done, you'll always be the boss. So for us, we should not be over here waiting to be told, go mine this, go mine that. You do not know what it's going to do. Let us get to the point of value addition. God has given us hidden treasures. It's upon us. We take arms and empower ourselves. First of all, knowledge is key. Number 2, we build industries. We become economic powers, just like anybody else. Yeah, so if you know how to do something well, you'll always have a job, but you know why it needs to be done, you'll always be the boss. So it's time for us to take ownership.
That's profound.
Yes.
If you know why.
Yes.
The why.
So why the job has got to be done.
Wow.
You'll always be the boss.
And that's
but
why knowledge
yes,
is important.
it's important. Yeah, so you don't just be hearing, we have iron. You know, then what? So what?
So what?
But if we know that we can incorporate that iron that we have in Kenya, alloy it with, say, manganese and chromite and have steel. We don't have to import steel. We can use that for our SGSs, for our bridges, for our towers. You know, we empower ourselves. And all of those things are at our disposal. And the time of reckoning is upon us right now. Yes.
And earlier, I heard you say that we are at a very strategic point. Okay, now we have the Ministry of Mines.
Yes.
And then we're also at a very strategic point in terms of infrastructure and all that. You've traveled
Yes.
widely.
Yes.
And I think it's good to give some hope to us Kenyans that we are not badly off the way we think.
Yes.
And we're at a position where we are able to do this actually.
Yes, first and foremost,
Yeah.
the inception of the Ministry of Mines, it was the first ray of hope. And with that, especially with the current administration right now, there is goodwill. So for me, we have to mesh and build a symbiotic relationship with the Ministry of Mines, where people who are knowledgeable can come and give insight, and then we partner. And in so doing, we can empower our people, because we don't have to only to look for arable land and for us just to, agree that agriculture is our fate. No, we can be a force to be reckoned with as far as mining is concerned, value addition, the building of creation of industries, jobs, and finally exportation. So instead of being a net importer, we can be a net exporter of already finished steel and minerals. Yes.
Wow, and I'm getting excited with this conversation because through the eyes of faith and even the steps we are taking, it seems Kenya can be self-reliant. And being a Presbyterian, the Jitegemea philosophy really...
Yes, I believe that's too.
Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
There's a way.
Where there's a will, indeed there's a way. And so we just need empowerment to Jitegemea.
To Jitegemea.
Yeah. Yeah, let just one of us show the rest how to fish. We'll be fishmongers, all of us.
Fishing, and we'll be selling, and
Yes.
we'll be okay.
Yes.
We'll be fine.
So here we just need to partner with the right people. And first of all, bearing in mind that we are the ones who are going to be the instruments. Nobody's going to come and make this place better for us. Everybody will be exporting to their home country and expatriating. And we do not want to be a failed state. You know, we've had neighbors who have mineral wealth, but they're just spots whereby they have instances of tyranny because of there has to be political goodwill in a nutshell. And I think in Kenya we're in a good place. We're in that, getting that sweet spot. Now we just need to be transparent. We start with identification. What is it we have at our disposal? And that is why I had also worked with with the Ministry of Mining and consulted with them that having a mineral lab, because gem identification or mineral identification is the first process. You know, you might go and you see something that glitters, and not all that glitters is gold, but you'd want to know, what is this? So we need, first of all, having a place whereby the general public can go and have their mineral tested to ascertain what it is. Once you do that, you're able now to know your wealth. And now I know the Ministry of Mining is not devolved. It's more of a national, still under national government. But if counties could set up, because I know in each county there is a so-called minister in charge of the environment and mineral resources. Just, it doesn't have to be anything big and robust. There's something called an XRF. An XRF is an X-ray component. It's a gadget that is able to, if you take a rock, and it's like a X-ray gun. As soon as you aim it off source, it will give you a breakdown of what the mineral is. So, what's the percentage of copper? What's the percentage of iron? What's the percentage of, and so forth. So if we could just start with something like that. They range from anywhere $3,000, which is about 300,000 Kenya shillings, all the way to 2 million. I don't think that's asking too much.
No, that's not too much.
Too much for every county to have, you know, at least a step in the right direction. That way we're able to identify on a grassroots level what we do have. Yeah, because mineral identification is the first thing.
It's the first thing.
Or gemstone of indication. Once you're empowered,
Yes,
you know.
You know.
You're able to answer the fundamentals of economics. What to produce, how much to produce, and how to produce. Yes.
Wonderful. We'll get into the process
Yes.
of what gives me my earrings.
Yes.
I mean, how do I get this final product? But before then, a bit of the history, because we are about education here also,
Right.
because knowledge is key.
Yes.
A bit of the history of gemstones.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, gemstones. So, starting with the word gem. Gem refers to a rare and precious jewel or mineral that is rare and beautiful. For a gemstone that has been cut and polished, in gemology, we attribute 4 characteristics, which I mentioned earlier, the 4 C's. It has got to have beautiful color. So the way you evaluate the color, the warmth, the coldness of the color, the hue, the tone, the saturation, and then the cut. You could have a beautiful, we heard of the phrase, a diamond in the rough. That means it's a diamond, but when it's in the rough, it might be a diamond in the rough, whereby someone sees a stone, but inside there's a diamond. But once you cut it, where it's no longer rough, you bring out brilliance. Brilliance, you're able to shine. We call that dispersion, scintillation. The way how that white light can be broken into like a rainbow spectrum. So the cut is the second thing when we're talking about cut and polished gemstones. The third is the weight, the carat weight. These stones, because they're so rare, they're sought out and measured in carats. Yeah, so 5 carats, just to give an idea of weight, 5 carats make 1 gram.
Oh, 5 carats, 1 gram.
Yes. So, for example, when I'm given a rough stone, the first thing I do is to look at the stone, weight first in grams, get an idea, and then I have to picture the fashioning process, the cut and polishing, and you have to envision what is the best shape that lies within that stone. And by the traditional shapes of cut and polished gemstones, we're talking about like a round, brilliant cut. Or is it a pear shape? Is it a cushion cut? Is it a princess cut? Marquee cut? The different cuts. So you have to put that in mind, and while bearing in mind weight retention, because the weight is what is gonna sell. Yeah. So those are just some of the elements when we're talking about a gemstone. And gemstones have been around since before the creation of the world. We have read Bible verses in Ezekiel 14, the way how Lucifer, who was considered son of the morning, was adorned with gemstones and whatnot. And also that the Lord, when he would speak to Moses face to face, as a man would speak to his friend, where he stood on was solid crystal, as blue as anyone could ever make it, sapphire. So there's a storyline of gemstones from the beginning all the way to current times. In different cultures, they have been used for many years, namely the Jews. We've also had the Arabs, the Lebanese, I know have got dealt in diamonds for many years, Indians as well, people from Thailand. We have industries that are just nothing based on, they're just based on gemstones. Yes, for instance, in India, you'll go to a city, Jaipur in India is synonymous with anything colored gemstones. Surat is synonymous with cutting and polishing of all diamonds. 80% of the world's diamonds are cut in Surat. Yeah. Colored gemstones, Bangkok. And more so, Bangkok is the economic hub. Chantaburi, 3 hours south, is where they do the fashioning, the cutting and polishing. Yeah, Hong Kong has got a gemstone. So, like if you go to America, every big city has got a jewelry district. Yeah, so everybody would like to wear gold, and it's been for the longest during World War I, World War II, when the Jews were being afflicted during the Holocaust. Many had to run, and all they could carry was their gold, their diamonds, and their jewels. It has been for the longest a good store of wealth.
And with the Israelites?
Yes.
leaving
Yes.
for Canaan.
Yeah.
They carried.
The carried gold.
Yeah, they carried gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's from the historic perspective, it's something that has been built in, and obviously all of this came from God first. He revealed to his people the worth of gold and precious stones. Yes, and that is synonymous till today.
Yeah. And how old are we as a country in these discoveries and all that in terms of gemstones?
Well, in my opinion, the colonizers, the British, are the ones who came, and in 1940, had already given us an idea, a mapping of where these mineral deposits are. Yes. So, for example, you'd find areas like Kakamega, that whole western region, all the way going south, like where the British colonized, all the way from Egypt, all the way south. And the same thing happened to the Italians. The Italians, you've ever heard of Italian gold? Italian gold, they normally stamp it. And the reason why the Italians tried to colonize Ethiopia was because of gold. They had a lot of gold back then. You'd find, like in Tanzania, there's a diamond mine. It's called Williamson Diamond Mine. It was discovered in 1940. Yeah. And then you'd find, like, in Western Kenya, the gold extraction and the mining processes back then were in the 30s and the 40s. So they knew what they were looking for. Yes. Yeah. So for us, as a country, after we gained independence, we started discovering a few minerals in the 60s. And one of them was Tsavorite. Tsavorite is a green garnet. Garnet is the birthstone of January. And it's only first discovered in Kenya. It's a beautiful stone, very rare, and it's called Tsavorite because it was discovered in Tsavo National Park.
Oh, it's Tsavo.
Tsavo, hence the name.
Tsavorite.
Tsavorite, where it was originally discovered, not too far away from Voi, and the quality that is found in Kenya is the best. The second country to produce Tsavorite, but in other countries it's called green garnet, is Tanzania, but it pales in comparison to what we have. We have nice, vivid, dark red. It's the second most expensive gemstone as far as garnets are concerned. Second most expensive garnet. The most expensive comes from Russia, but it's very rare. Yeah, so it's called the mantoid andesite garnet from Russia. Ours is Tsavorite garnet, and it's economically viable as far as mining. And there are several mines. The whole region, people have been fortunate enough to have some good yields. Yes.
And I like that. I mean, an original name.
Yes.
Like Tsavo.
Yes.
Something we can relate to.
Around the same time, we have Tanzanite. Because of Tanzania. It was discovered in 1967. Yeah. Also. So there was that boom within that area. Around the late 60s, there's a lot of discovery. Tsavorite was discovered by Dr. Bridges. He was a British geologist based in Kenya. Yes.
He discovered that.
Yeah, right here.
Wow.
Yes.
Wonderful. And talking about like Tsavorite and other gemstones, do we have like a big five? You know, big five is a language you understand here.
Yes.
So would you classify them into some like big five?
Yes. Now, determinant on our region, East and Central Africa, everybody talks about diamonds. To some extent, I believe they're overrated, simply because people have lost or have not been exposed to the other phenomenally beautiful stone with more rarity. Diamond is found in every continent. You will find diamonds in Africa in about 5 countries. You're going to find it in India that used to produce it, South America for the longest, South Africa. In fact, the largest producer of diamonds in the world is Australia, but low quality. So I don't think the name has been overrated.
It's overrated.
I think, because what do you do if you don't have diamond? Does that mean you can't produce other stones? So we have other gemstones that are found in Kenya. For me, as I mentioned, Savarite, we do have significant deposits of sapphire, all qualities and grades. We have ruby. In fact, we're known for ruby, especially from Taita Taveta. There's one associated with a certain senator, Mudama. Yeah, it's a significant ruby mine. We have other gemstones like aquamarine. But as far as the top 5, we have in Eastern Central Africa, we have sapphires, we have rubies, we have emeralds, we have tanzanite, and savarite. Yeah, those are the stones that you'd find them in their natural beauty and no other quality like the one we have over here. Yes.
Now tell me, give me some hope
Yes.
that my aquamarine is among the top 10, at least.
Yes, and that is why it's a birthstone. Yeah, everybody in the world, if they know birthstones, aqua is your month.
Okay.
Yes.
People should know that. Please take note of that. It's really good. So, how do you value the gemstones? How comes some are more precious, considered more precious, of higher value than others?
In some cases, it's the difficulty in extraction. So that makes it harder and more rare. So you'd find, for example, just as a side note, to get 1 carat of diamond, you should have probably moved 250 tons of ore.
That's something.
Yes.
250 tons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's like 10 tippers. So when it comes to our savarite, number 1, the occurrence of that mineral or that gemstone is only in that place, Taita Taveta County. There have been deposits found elsewhere, even as far north as Ethiopia. I've seen also in Samburu County, but not of the quality that was first discovered in Savo. Savo, you'll get nice huge pockets of top gem quality savarite. So number 1, the rarity makes the price go up. Yeah. Number 2, the availability, because now our people are not resourceful as far as machinery, heavy duty equipment to extract. Number 3, we do not possess the skill level of cutting and polishing. So you find our people don't benefit from selling the goods locally, even to the tourist industry, because majority of it finds its ways to be smuggled. Yeah. So there's a few lapses and loopholes that need to be addressed, and most importantly is people not knowing where can they mine. In addition to gem identification, we have not exhausted mineral exploration. We do not incorporate innovative mining technology to identify. We had a situation whereby I'm aware the government wanted to consult the Chinese government to give us help, but it backfired. Because there's nothing as good as our own government having an idea of its own resources. Because if you give this intellectual knowledge to other countries, they might misuse it.
It will be exploited.
It will be exploited and poses a national security threat.
Wow.
So for us, we need to hone those skills to incorporate innovation as far as mineral exploration, incorporate mineral technology, aerial surveillance. There are different machineries that we can get to use. Once we do that, it makes the whole process easier. Yes.
Now, before we go for break, just give us an idea of the pricing of the different, like for instance, the big 5. Just give us a rough idea of how much they cost.
So let me start with sapphire. It varies on the quality and the color. So I'll come from a standpoint from rough, the way it comes off the ground, and then give you a rough idea. So anywhere from, you could sell it in the open market, and not in Kenya. I'm talking about, say, India, where they have the factories to facet. Anywhere from $50 a kilo.
Okay.
So think of it this way: the lower the quality, the higher the unit. So if it's real gem quality, we're talking about grams and carats. You dissect that further. The lower the quality, we start talking about kilos and tons. Yeah. So in Samburu, I've come across places whereby, and you could find everything within the same deposit, but predominantly you'd find kilo quality is what the Indians like to call it. When they ask you, what do you have? You say sapphire. They ask you, what do you have? Kilo or gram?
Oh, that's a language.
Yeah.
Kilo.
Yeah.
Or gram.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So for me, I say I have this sapphire kilo. Kilo. Also, the Chinese are aware of kilo. Yeah. So like we have a stone we used to sell called tourmaline. Because the quality was not A1, it was kilo. But you have to try and see how you can enter the market by all ways and means. So by that you have to appreciate this market will take this quality, while this one will take this quality. And then for the real gem quality stuff, for sapphire, I've seen it sell for upwards of $500 per gram plus.
That's not per gram.
Per gram. Rough and cut.
Yeah.
I mean rough. Yeah. And then when it's cut and polished, it goes up higher. Yeah. So for example, when I'm cutting a stone, if I have a stone that is 10 grams, when it's cut and polished, I know it will lose about 60%. Yeah. So you're left with a 4 gram stone. So
gram is more, of course, in terms of the quantities. The lower the more costly.
It's when you're selling per gram.
Yeah.
That's the smallest. The only diamond is sold per carat.
Only diamond is sold per carat.
In its rough form.
Yeah.
The way it comes out from the ground. But for us in Eastern Central Kenya, we use per gram. And then we calculate. Depending on the shape, we find out what shape is optimal within the rough for it to be cut and polished. Not only to withhold the most weight, weight retention is key, but also when you're selling it, you want the highest price. Yeah. So we cut it, for example, most cutters will try, in diamonds for example, will try and have a weight retention of 60%. So if you have a 10 carat stone, after everything is cut and polished and whisked away, you're left with 4 carats. Yeah.
And actually I want to hear more about the cutting and what you retain. I mean the process.
Yes.
I believe that's very key even for the viewer out there. We want to know like how we get to the final products of our earrings, our bracelets, and all those. And in terms of time, we don't have it in kilo. Here we have it gram, so we need to take a short break. Please don't go away. This is exciting and very profound. We want to hear more because we have these deposits around us. If it's not grown, it's mined. Please, we'll be right back.
PCA Shalom Model Academy is a faith-based day school which is anchored on Christian principles. Currently, our classes are running from playgroup PP1 up to class 6. From July this year, we shall have class 7, and next year, May, we shall have our first candidate class. We nurture a holistic child that is physically, socially, emotionally, and spiritually. Our school has the best facilities to be able to implement the competency-based curriculum and the 844 system of education.
We offer education that provides opportunities for the learner to develop to the full potential. We promote acquisition of values geared toward developing a self-disciplined and ethical citizens. We provide inclusive and equitable access to quality and differentiated education including learners with special and educational needs and disabilities.
We train kids in games such as volleyball, football, netball, geomax, and miniball. We also train kids in clubs such as French club, Scouts club, music club, and drama club.
Our pupils within Kabete, Kikuyu and its environs are facilitated with school transport that is well coordinated by our very able team. Our interviews are ongoing for all classes at an affordable fee. We are giving a good offer on fee payment for those ones joining class 7 this July.
We are very proud to be affiliated to PCEA Shalom Model Academy, Zambezi.
Inasemekana mtafutaji hachoki.
Hakuna kazi rahisi, kazi zote ni ngumu.
Hakuna kitu mwanamume anafanya hapa sisi tunashindwa kufanya. Hakuna.
Akichoka kesha pata.
We only get limited in the mind. Exactly. Mimi nasema my space, my creation, I become.
Ungana nasi kwenye kipindi cha Kazi na Mali ambapo tunakuhimiza.
Bado safari ipo. Tunang'ang'ana.
Kukuhamasisha.
Jua kali tunatengeneza vitu ambazo zinapatikana katika kila nyumba. Hata nyumba kuu ya Kenya State House utapata mali ya jua kali ziko huko.
Na kukuelimisha kuhusu sekta mbalimbali zinazounda nguzo kuu za uchumi wa nchi kwa jumla.
Kama association tunawahimiza kabisa kila mtu awe na ile card ya insurance ambayo ni ya serikali.
Usikose Kazi na Mali kila siku ya Jumanne saa 1:30 jioni hapa KAK TV.
Welcome back. Now, at the point where we went for break, we were discussing, the question of why some gemstones are more pricey than others. That's the point where we went on break. And for our viewer, just in case you've just joined us, today we are discussing the topic, and it's a continuation actually. We're discussing the topic, if it's not grown, it is mined. Now we're talking about hidden treasures. And we read from Isaiah 45 and verse 3, God has given us hidden treasures. They are for us, his precious people. So hidden treasures. And that's what we are trying to discover and getting, knowledge and getting, some exposure on these areas. So we continue from where we started.
Yes.
Yeah. The pricing.
So pricing in gemstones does not succumb to a certain price set. There are many variables that someone has got to take into consideration. And you're also your end market. Because for the very same thing that I could sell in Nairobi for $10, just by import and export, it landing in Thailand, for example, it could exponentially go up by twofold or threefold. But you need to have established the market and the way how the market perceives you. If you're knowledgeable, do you know your way around, or do you have prior connections and whatnot? Because it's so easy to get duped, and so many people have crashed and burned thinking that they're going to be overnight millionaires without having done the proper market research. And it takes a skill set to be able to know the markets, for example, in countries whereby you'd find a few barriers, be it language, like in Thailand, so you have to use a broker. And there are other brokers who have been known not to be trustworthy. But for me, in my opinion, we need to set up our businesses in this industry to the point whereby it can mature. And by that I mean whereby people do not have to travel, but we have foreigners and buyers international buyers travel in, where we can command our own price in relation to the international market prices. Because many times us being indigenous and people looking at this color of ours, they don't think we're exposed. You would find, for me, by experience, I would take a few gemstones that I've been buying, get my export certificate, travel to Thailand. But since I am sounding like I know the processes that go on, you find these people don't take a liking to me. You know, in Kenya they'll call me Mjwaji. They do not want you to talk like you know what's going to happen, or you know another market in America. They want to put you at that level, whereby they will consult amongst themselves. And if you go from this office to the other one, they give you the worst price. So for me, having seen this for so many years, having been gone through this disappointment, Kenya of late, and some of my businesses that we've been able to do, we invite people to come in. They have more to lose than us going over there. The one who takes the initiative to travel to Nairobi will not want to go back empty-handed. They will negotiate the best price. And that is the way our people will get better return on value and investment, instead of you going to a country that you do not know, people to collude against you. So you'll find the odds already stacked against you. So Kenya, we need to set up exhibitions, or be it avenues of selling, whereby our industries need to mature. So if that's what I was saying, we need to be exporters. We should not get to the point whereby we're so frantic, disfranchised, such that we have to travel asking someone, we've heard of that Swahili saying, kizuri chajiuza kibaya chajitembeza. Been there, done that. So people, if you have a good thing, reasonably priced, you will sell it out of Nairobi.
People will come.
People will definitely come.
And you have the home ground advantage, as we normally say.
Yes, and and we need to also get back a better name, because I've noticed Nairobi of late, depending on what you're selling. Like right now, it has gone on a bad name for gold because of scammers from Congo or Tanzania and elsewhere coming to say we've got 10, 20, 30, 100 kilos of gold in Nairobi. There's a time back, there was something trending on Twitter, fake gold, scams, and all that kind of stuff. So many people being implicated. And people would want to come. If you have something that is genuine, they would want to come. We've had people from Dubai and other places get duped to come and buy gold, only to find they've been fleeced. So we need, first of all, to create refinery that is there's something called the London Bullion Market Association, and that is something that is reputable. If we set up a refinery that is accredited by them, so that when someone comes and knows that coming to this place that has got the association backing them, it'll be legitimate business. The conning to stop. To stop. So so beat gold, we need to join the World Gold Council, work with layers with refineries that are accredited, because all the gold of East and Central Africa passes through Nairobi. Nairobi is the conduit for smuggling. And yet, even in Kenya, we have gold, but we can't be the hub for East and Central Africa. That is just gold. What about diamonds? Diamonds as well. We need to join what we call the Kimberley Certificate program that ensures that we're not dealing with conflict diamonds, the ones that finance wars, like in Congo, Angola, Chad, and Central African Republic. That anyone who comes, because we have everything at our disposal. We have good infrastructure, we have connecting airports, we can connect people from the world. KQ flies to some destinations you've never had, Bangui, Cameroon, Kisangani, So all the barriers to entry for people doing business, we need to eliminate them. At least people can go formidable business without having to worry about goons fleecing them of their hard currencies. Yeah.
So we need to leverage on what we have, and I mean, there lies another ray of hope.
Yes.
Because we are at a strategic position.
Yes.
Kenya is a hub in many ways,
Yes.
economically and otherwise.
Yes.
You talked about ports.
Yes.
The airports.
Yes.
We are a place of connection.
And our people are well educated.
And we're also educated.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. In fact, I've had to the tune of the so many lecturers who are teaching. So there's a lot of brain drain, you know, and you'd find that so many people teaching in South Africa, Tanzania, majority of East Africa and elsewhere, you know, and here in Kenya, with the people who are here, I don't think we have taken advantage of what we do have. As far as internet use, Kenyans are top ranking in Africa. Yeah, just about whoever knows how to navigate the World Wide Web.
That reminds me,
yes,
no country has been able to beat us.
Yes.
On our KOT. We fight our battles. We know how
yes.
to do it.
Yes.
And we always win.
Yes. Yeah, Kenyans have treated.
Yes, we always win.
We always do.
That
yes.
tells us
yes.
How much advanced we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as internet absorption and penetration, we are number one in East and Central Africa, and I think in Africa as a whole. So we do have the skill sets that if we can get to home them in, we'll get to appreciate. There's no need to wait 100, 200 years from now when our people will extract it. Whatever we have right now, it should be for us. And there's enough to go around. But yes.
Wonderful, and I really can't wait to hear about the process of this. But before we get there, talking about history, our neighborhood, Africa and all that.
Yes.
Tell us about the Solomon mines.
Yes.
Solomon mines, yeah.
So history denotes, and this is a biblical perspective on the Queen of Sheba, who, on hearing about Solomon's great wisdom and knowledge, was impressed and took it upon herself to travel and go visit him. And she did not do that empty-handed. Having been to Ethiopia, I've traveled far and wide, and there are some ancient texts that are not in the Bible, that she went with several caravans of camels carrying several tons of gold. And I happened to visit a place called Aksum, which was her capital in ancient Ethiopia, and her territory and kingdom extended all the way into South Yemen. And hence she was able to hear of his great exploits at that particular time. And there's one place called Jakiso in Ethiopia where they have just huge mountains of gold. Incidentally, the second richest African after Dangote is an Ethiopian guy and is in gold mining. And I think the third, fourth is Patrice Motsepe. I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly. He's the chairman of Rainbow Minerals in South Africa. So that just gives you an idea of, if you can't grow it, mine it.
Just mine it.
And there's enough treasure to go around. Yes.
Wonderful. Now let's hear about this treasure that kind of goes on and on and on. We can keep mining and mining. So take us through the process briefly on how we get these final products and who works with you, what kind of professions or what kind of expertise is needed in the mine.
Yeah, what is sad to say is from the time for example, a gemstone is realized in the hand of the miner to the time it gets to the end user in America, there are probably 20 different people. And so for me, what would have been key is to reduce that so that more value and more money comes to where the stone came from. Because, for example, let's just follow the process of, say, a Tsavorite from Tsavo being mined. Say, for the sake of math, we're talking about a 2-gram piece. This piece will be found straight from the soil. and it will probably be taken to the closest large city, which is Voi. From Voi, you have a myriad of middlemen. So from the stone, one middleman to Voi, and from there straight into the hands of many, I would say, foreigners. Majority of them tend to be Sri Lankan that have put up camp over the years because they do not want to buy it at a high price. They come to Kenya, so robbing us the chance of someone or two other middlemen of African descent making the slight markup. So for me, for example, unless I'm mining, if I go and I'm trying to buy a gemstone and I'm saying I'll get close to the mine, that being Voi, the Sri Lankans already over there giving me a price that I can't even compete with. If the miner is asking for 30,000 a gram, say 60,000 for a 2 gram piece, by the time it gets to Sri Lankan, the brokers who are working in the Sri Lankan or getting the stones from the Sri Lankan will be asking for anywhere from $500 a gram. And so the stone is rare and becomes precious, especially if it's nice and clean. They will take it to Sri Lanka and they'll have it cut and polished and make it look like it's green garnet from Sri Lanka or something like that. So there are many loopholes. And then from over there, they will trade amongst themselves. From the person who's imported, it will go to the person who will do the cutting and polishing. And then there's intra-trading, depending on the one who's got the most money. Yeah, and then from there, it will go to a bigger city. So it will go for an exhibition. So maybe it will be sent to Hong Kong when you have the trade shows. So you have a group of, say, Indian or Sri Lankan gemstone dealers. And keep in mind, they have bought it from their man, who's based in Voi. So it will go, by the time it gets to the person who's taking it to an exhibition, maybe 3 other people. So something, for example, that was going for 30,000. By the time it gets cut and polished, by the time it's going to the exhibition, it's been sold per carat at $3,000 to $5,000 a carat. And by that time, what they do for credibility, they would add a certificate. So there's the school which I went to, which is GIA. They have offices and laboratories across the world. So if you take that stone and it gets a GIA certificate to authenticate that it's actually right, and they have a test called place of origin.
Place of origin.
Yeah, so they're able to look at the natural characteristics, chemical structure of the stone, and denote the inclusions that are synonymous with Voi. For that certificate, it adds a 15 to 20% premium on the price. So if it was going for $5,000, that's 6,000 or 7,500. Then it will be sold to, say, someone in Japan, or if there's an exhibition there, Hong Kong, or Basel, it's in Switzerland, in Europe, or in New York. So it will be sold to jewelers. We'll also put in a 20 markup on the jewelry. So the end stone, by the time it's getting to the retail owner, is probably $15,000 for something that began with 30,000. As an example, yes.
Wow.
So from 300 dollars all the way to $15,000.
So if we're able to deal with our own business here, know how to do it, know how to get it, and eliminate all these people who are in the middle, we should be donned with all these beautiful things around here. I mean, they should be affordable.
Because you see, that now everything is all about value addition. Value addition. Value addition. So from us, if you can get to the point whereby the stuff comes from our backyard, we pick it up, we cut and polish and adhere to international standards. Secondly, in the value addition process, have it certified by a globally recognized independent lab. Because in this day and age, there's a lot of simulations, imitation gems, synthetics that people are being duped with. So you have it certified. Then we get into the process of making it into jewelry. That way, an end user, targeting the rich, it's not a necessity. This is a luxury
It's a
item.
luxury, yeah.
So you have to think of the mindset, who your target market is, and how do you penetrate that market and capture some market share. So that being the case, you cut and polish, you have it certified, and then now you embed it in gold jewelry. And the gold jewelry should not be 9-carat gold; it needs to be higher caratage. Yeah, so you have the jewelry designs. So there's white gold, which yellow gold, red gold, depending on what you have, and you can team up with people of goodwill who are designers. You have people like Cartier, you have people, Tiffany, who have jewelry lines, international brand companies, and you create jewelry, and then you offset the middleman. And even that way, you do not, and then you have it structured in a way you're able to get remissions and money sent back to the local community. Because right now, you'd find the person would find that 2-gram piece, and if he's not a man of means, most likely an artisanal miner. Keep in mind, you'd have toiled with a pick and shovel. We're looking at someone who will most likely be digging trenches, pits, latrines, and whatnot. So it becomes a problem for our people because you need machinery. They are not empowered to mine. So those are some of the few things. If you could have the money repatriated back and develop those communities, medicine, we're looking at water, dams, schools. So those are the big problems you find that people in the village still suffer with. Yet all this $15 million, 15 million or 15,000 shilling stone came out from his backyard. So those are some of the things we need to look into.
Well, that's good. That's about the luxury part of it, the gemstones. How are we doing in the area of industrial minerals?
Thank you so much, Rev, for bringing that point up. Because I see that is a place or an avenue that we have taken for granted. Be it as it may, I think gemstones, no matter how beautiful they are, there are more challenges as far as barriers to entry. Because as for me, for example, I've had to go through many years of ups and downs, upsets, and plus also my background in education and whatnot. But I think there's a true opportunity with industrial minerals, because industrial minerals are used on a day-to-day, for day-to-day activity and use. I believe we've not exploited what this country has got to offer, and we've merely just scratched the surface. And I believe, as opposed to gemstones that are in select places and deposits, industrial minerals are sporadically placed all over Kenya. And I think every county has got an opportunity to be a viable economic deposit for minerals. So the minerals that I would suggest our people to look into are the ones that they take for granted. Iron is so readily abundant. And it's one of those building blocks of infrastructure. We've got so many people from outside the country who are looking to come and invest. So I would suggest for people to take up the initiative. I believe right now the Ministry of Mines, the lab is well suited. They have the gadgetry and the instrumentation to decipher and analyze rock samples. So iron, we need the building blocks, chromium, all these essential metals where they have a market. And especially in this day and age with people trying to go green and renewable energies, they pose as areas to be exploited and to be investigated. Yes. Yeah, so there's a lot of opportunity. People just need to be on the lookout, but mostly in these arid areas where the land is not being used, there's no arable land. We have anywhere from copper, I've come across manganese, chromite, iron, as I have mentioned. We have beryllium. We have galena, which is used for making lead. We have silver. Yeah. Soda ash, potassium, gypsum, gold. Yeah. So basically, we just have to embark on better, be it also rudimentary, but better investigation and prospecting methodologies. Yes.
Wonderful. Now, in this whole field, you've talked about the prospects that are there. Sounds like more large scale and all that, which is very good also for our governments and other stakeholders.
Yes.
For a common person, are there prospects around this whole business?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, and that's why I allude to the fact that Kenyans are very resourceful, well educated. We have access to the internet. You know, we have access to also the way how our government has also been devolved. Every county should have a minister of mines, as it were, who is also in charge of the environment. You find places whereby we just have to collude with our ministers. And the first thing is, once you find something that you think is of economic value, and it's very simple. We call it hefting in gemology. Let's go. Most people know normal stones, how they look at. By that I'm talking about gravel. Hefting refers to weight. Just play around with the stone. If you think it's heavier than usual, it's denser. We call that specific gravity. How many times is it heavier than gravity itself? You know, you heft it and you compare it to gravel. It gives you a rough idea this thing could be of worth. So that is a probable cause for you to want to have it checked it out. And especially with industrial minerals, we're looking at scale, economies of scale. You know, so there's something like, for example, in Isiolo Meru, people would dig, it's called mica. And I'll probably give you some pictures you find of mica sheets. Mica is used to make electronics, to make paint, and it's been sold by the ton. You just need to have it crushed. It's sporadic here and there, but it's found in huge quantities. All the deposits are found it all the way from Meru to almost every county. It's like a quartz. Quartz makes 74% as crust. It's prevalent. It's found. But if you can put an industrial application to it, you can make money. So there are all these things, like now what I was mentioning, mica. Kenya, especially with the fact that we're able to extract it without too much pain, it's something that can be moved out. I mean, extracted with ease. Yeah. So working with the number one national government to identify. I would implore the county governments to have gadgets that are not expensive. At least it will point people in the right way. Because also before you mine, you have to know what will give you the best return on investment. Yeah, so I was talking about the fundamentals, what to mine, how to mine it, and how much to mine it. That way you get the best bang for your buck. Yes.
Now, as we begin to wind up, I think it's important for us to start drawing some very important lessons for giving us hope. Now, your story, how has courage played a part in that? Because we are about inspiring, first of all, courage here, resilience, and even hope. How do you draw that from your story?
For me, I'd best term it as what I like to call the 3 Ds. We have to be determined. We have to be dependable on the people you've given the job and the people you're working with. Determined, dependable, and dedicated. So for me, that in a nutshell boils down to that resilience, that sheer hunger to wanting to excel. And also, I would reminisce some of the bad experiences. That's why I was saying some of those bad experiences helped shape me.
Yeah.
And created my resolve to want to succeed. Because you go to someone else's country, you find him sitting in his house, something that cost you say 100 shillings to produce, the guy is giving you equivalent of 40. And you have paid for your ticket and gone there. And he thinks you do not know the true value. So I said exposure, education. And that's why I said if you can't travel during COVID to school where I went to and whatnot, the resources are there on the internet. There's something called the LME, Trades Every Day, the London Metal Exchange. Once you determine what your stone is, look at the world prices. You know, and then you find, is that stone viable economically to extract? Yeah. So the thing is that there are no two ways about it. It's either mind
or grown.
Yeah. So if it's not grown, it's mind. So see what you have. And if life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
Make lemonade.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you take what you have
and
you get the best price for it. You just have to be competitive. Yeah. And kizuri chajiuza kibaya chajichemeza. Yeah.
And that actually works across board.
Yes.
May not be in gemstone or anything,
Yes.
but whatever we are doing, we need to be good at it. Yes. And then we should allow the process. God working in us to produce the best.
Yes. Because let me tell you, it's you need peace. You don't need to be anxious. I've seen it myself, and this is where I'll attest to the workings of God. I've been to Zambia. I do not know whether they have a lot of witch doctors and whatnot, but I was able to see a guy tell another one, over here, this vein, we are extracting copper. Come tomorrow and see. There will be copper. And they had disagreed that fought. Sure enough, the next day the guy came, he tried to mine, and he lost the vein. You know, so me, I believe, trust God. He's the one who's hidden the gem. He knows who he's hidden it for. So you just pray for that insight, such that he'll bless the works of your hands, and what is yours. And once he opens that door, nobody can close it. But you have to be resilient. You have to exercise your faith and also your determination to succeed. There will be a few stumbling blocks here and there, but be resilient. And sure enough, you'll get to enjoy the work of the hand of your hands. Yes.
And of course, keeping hope alive.
Yes.
Because, well, the reef might disappear or anything, but you must keep going.
Yes.
Keeping hope alive.
I have had scenarios of people gave up just too soon. Someone took over their mine, and just within one day, hit a pocket of gemstones. People allow fatigue to take best of them, and so it's you have to be in a Christian walking. Be there for the long haul. It's a race.
It's a race.
Yeah.
So let's keep running.
So just like Jesus, when he was on the cross, he thought of the joy that awaited him, and he persevered and endured. Think of it this way: you're about to hit the pocket. Persevere. Yeah, keep on. Keeping on. Keep on keeping on.
And I think that's a good point to end this episode. I think we've learned a lot.
For me, just
that's just
a nutshell.
Just a nutshell.
Yes.
And I think in future we'll be calling you.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, please. Would love to learn more and possibly even join you as you do your thing, and maybe even see the products.
I'd love for you to come.
Yeah.
At least give you a rough idea of how a gemstone mine looks like, and the methodologies we used, be it shaft mining, open cast mining, for you to see the way artisanal mining, rudimentary. But you're most welcome to come and have.
Thank you very, very much for finding time to be with us, and we truly appreciate. I believe there's maybe that young person there, or that man or woman out there who may want to venture into this, and also someone who is still feeling like they have a passion about something, maybe different, but they don't want to pursue it because they're the only ones and all that. They need to pursue their passion. We all need to pursue the deposit that God has put in us, because each one of us has a deposit, not just the world, not just below the soil, but even in our lives, we do have deposits. And at this point, we want to bring this to an end. I believe you have learned a lot, just as we have learned here. If it's not grown, it is mined. God has given us hidden treasures. You are a treasure yourself. And instead of yourself, there are deposits, talents, skills, and things that need to be exploited for the glory of God and also for your growth in many ways. So keep hope alive. Even when things don't seem to work, keep going. Keep on keeping on. Our hope is founded in Jesus Christ. That brings us to the end of our show today. Take care. See you next time.